Thank you, Devin, and thank you, Eric. I feel very much at home in Chicago because, all it feels a bit like coming home because Devin, when he was the poetry editor of Chicago Review, published a lot of my work, and Eric continues in that tradition. I'm happy to say. Okay, so I wrote this poem called "Waiting Behind the City Crematorium" for at the funeral of another poet friend, and so the creme is the crematorium, and another word in there, greet, is the Scottish use of the word, which I suppose means weep, weeps, wails. Waiting behind the city crematorium. Time moves slow, if at all, at the creme. A cock blackbird drills cut grass. Supermarket bags blow over the rose beds. A quick squall, a quadrille of sycamores, and the sky overcasts. Gas ovens roar and ventilate unto the hawthorne, aching with blossom. I hold my breath and hurry past the sweet-smelling ventilation shaft that dulls a predacious hum under the squat grey chapel. Hemmed by raggy tulips, toothless poplars, confessions of agitating cherry blossom, gutter confetti. How to process the corpse and grief with it. The guests greet, the pedlar, the button presser, his collar starched, his whiskers trimmed, silently removes the dead. They take their leave behind red velvet curtains that close with apparent irregularity. My first job was in the crematorium when I left school very early, and it only lasted a week, which was the longest job I ever held. And I left because, well, one, I was just bored, but bored stiff. Sorry, but one of the old guys used to work there, had worked there all his life, used to use the big shovel that you push in to get the ashes out to warm his pies on for lunch, you know, so I thought I'd give it a miss. Anyway, this is Starlings. Flighting street of twisting sheen, starling your glittering sing, your pharaoh's wing, gift of kin, common flock, star net, make light spin, speckle neck, laced with star flecks, star splat in starling strat, conspiraling flame flock, Guttencock, little old ladies in lurex, skim silk, precision preen, shiver green, blue in your black, city shifter, witness to wars, sunshiner, light miner, quilt of sparks, tarmac with oil spills, a light diffused in flight. This is in the early 1970s. There was a campaign, a patriotic campaign, to get everyone to buy British, and it was just a kind of, it was just a really, I don't know, diversion really. And I wrote, and so everyone was giving out patriotic messages and, you know, putting Union Jacks on all their products. And I wrote one called "Put Britain on Its Back Week," and the campaign was called "I'm Backing Britain." So my poem was "Put Britain on Its Back Week," and this was the Queen's message. And a gobble is a blowjob. What's the matter with ye? Give us a poke. You want no but gobbles. I'm fucking choked. I grew up, as Devin mentioned, very close to Hadrian's Wall. In fact, I used to climb on it as a kid. And once when they did some excavations near the housing estate, they found this beautiful old temple and a previously unknown Romano-British god called Antinocotissus, I believe. And so and I found that that particular legion who were building that section of the wall came from Transylvania, so I just incorporated a bit of a Transylvanian myth into it. When they found his head on Benwell Hill, the hair wound into horns, other body parts were uncovered around the housing estate. Day slashed night's throat as googie eyes preached from the flooded butcher's concrete bunker roof to heathens calf deep in water, the colour of bad old oxygenized blood. Crows mate on the wings in gang gusts, oyster catchers, police pipe, a wren's song cuts the wind till it bleeds. I saw my sister drown in a Transylvanian river and come back in a mischief to seduce strangers. She sings me home from this pissing rip on the map of Rome. The wall is dug up here and ditched, the day constellated with birdsong. John the Baptist's redundancy speech. This is a gyro is a welfare check. Let me bring you my head on a plate, a dog to hang your hat on. The first telephone I find with a pub in it, I'll give you a ring, gyro permitting. Winter's night. I once found myself wandering around the streets of London trying to find somewhere to stay, and seeing all these people who did it all the time. So I wrote this for them, and it's a song. It's the lyrics for a song. Winter night. Street lights flicker, windows shake, rain sweeps down and I'm awake on this winter night. Put my bags down by the door, I won't bother you for more. Streets outside are long and cold, I am getting far too old, I don't need to be told on this winter night. Call a priest, call the pope, gimme shelter, gimme hope, gimme some more fucking dope, sell my body for a bar of soap on this winter night. Ride the buses all night long, listen to a busker's song, he won't be singing that for long on this winter night. Fuck the beggars, fuck the poor, we don't need them anymore. Gimme shelter, let me score on this winter night. Let me drink, Lord, let me sleep, I might be poor, but I'm not cheap. Gimme snort, gimme crack, gimme smack, Lord, by the sack, till it breaks my fucking back on this winter night. Street lights flicker, windows shake, I don't want to stay awake. Wind and rain and howling storm, bless the day that I was born. Bottle breaking bloody dawn, another winter's night. I'm going to read you I hadn't intended this poem called Springtide, which I wrote on the when I heard about my friend Basil Bunting and mentors Basil Bunting's death. And you know, as we're in such reactionary times, it seems appropriate. Basil died just at the end of the last great miners' strike in 1986, I think it was. And I was living in London at the time. So, and he was a conscientious objector, so that's what the Conchi reference is in that. And the third bit of it is just about a dream I had about him immediately after he died. Springtide. A filthy winter to have lived through, dragged by the hair, kicked and kicking into spring. A year-long miners' strike, broken. Police roadblocks blocked the motorways and all roads leading to the north. More reactionary than the 30s, the old fascist fighting Conchi told me. While he lay dying in Hexham General Hospital, we climbed Parliament Hill with our word learner's son to see the city from the lip of the basin and to see the kites. The little Geordie Polak cried Keats when he saw the rainbow-winged mosquitoes stringed against the Cockney clouds. He wanted sleep, a blood clot rushed to his brain. We pushed our faces into May. Snowflower, our blossom told us, thanking frothing Hawthorne for the gift. We stood by the North Sea, a wash swirled around our feet. Furthest from the shore, you stared towards a squall on the dark horizon. I warned against a threatening wave swelling, it would overwhelm us. Leaping to safety, I glanced back and saw you, steady, silent, still, tracing the trajectory of the wave's engulfing curve. My son's warm hand woke me drowning in a cold sweat. You, the dark spring tide, and the spring were gone. Rob, God, bleak, these poems. Am I audible at the back? Yeah. Is this PA or a microphone for the TV? Oh, it's a light. Marvelous. I might turn it on then if I get bored. Okay, so I was writing I was starting to write an autobiography, some of which were published in Chicago Review then, and I did get bored with that, and so I stopped. But while I was doing it, but while I was writing it, I started having a lot of dreams about things I was trying to remember. And one of the dreams I had was about a guy called Michael De Freitas, who I knew in the 60s in London, late 60s and early 70s. And, at that time I knew him. He was involved in Black Power and the sort of hippie and the liberation movements. And he was a really nice guy, and I liked him a lot. But prior to that, he'd worked for a racketeering landlord in his youth in London called Rackman, whose name was synonymous with, bullying, gangster tactics for evicting tenants prior to Mrs. Thatcher, who kind of legalized those kind of gangster activities. If you lived in an unfurnished accommodation, you had security of tenure. As long as you paid the rent, you couldn't be evicted, which is great for poor people. But the only way landlords could get rid of their tenants was by, sending in some thugs to throw them out, basically. So that might explain some of it. And also, I in those days, I didn't answer the door unless I knew who was there, for fear of who it was, some agent of authority, usually. Okay, so it's called Rope. I was writing my book of revisitations, playing a bit part in a melodrama the angels walked out of, when Michael De Freitas, a.k.a. Abdul Malik, a.k.a. Michael X, executed Trinidad, 1973, knocked on my door. "Is Tom Pickard here?" "No," I said. "But when I see him, I'll say you called." Was my rent overdue? Who would hire the dead, who require no wages and work all hours, and for whom conditions could never be bad enough? I'll never know what he wanted, that man with hell knotted at his neck, till I meet him there. A grudging dawn and the grass is grey. Let there be day when I die, at least a gob of red in the east. They say there is a light brighter than the biggest arc in the dullest prison yard, when rope draws tight to snap the switch from this to that. Valentine. Simplicity, say sleep, or shall we shower? Have an apple. You are as I need water. Shall I move? Do you dream? Shallow snow, flesh, melt this. And Valentine's Day, brackets, massacre. I brought her a dark amaryllis, black as a sack of coal. She said, "Shove it up your arse." So I binned it. That was the beginning of the end. In Paradise, I was ordered to improvise. Confident of my cooperation, they paid in advance. It's the only sweatshop in town with a vacancy. Recipe, pastime for the unemployed. I wrote this when I was watching one of my ex-wives. God, there'd been a lot. Getting angry, and she was just cooking at the time. So I just wrote down what she was doing, and then subtitled it, Pastime for the Unemployed. Recipe. Be mean with an onion. Rip off its dried skin and grip well. Slice across its sphere and chop. The onion will rise into your nostrils, speak to your eyes. Keep slicing, weep and toss into a hot iron pot with chicken pieces, rib tickling each with bay leaves. I'm sorry, I'll have to... I'm just recovering from a cold, so my throat gets rough, so I'll start again. Be mean with an onion. Rip off its dried skin and grip well. Slice across its sphere and chop. The onion will rise into your nostrils and speak to your eyes. Keep slicing, weep and toss into a hot iron pot with chicken pieces, rib tickling each with bay leaves. Use what herbs there are to hand, allspice, chili, cloves and yogurt. Decorate with saffron, sliced peel from a fresh lemon. Poke with a fork, and don't let spitting fat put you off. Fight back. Okay, first poem of the century, or my first poem of the century, more accurately. A riff adrift in air, your slick rig rifts awake to make each morning new. The making of a Gothic moment. The law is Northumbrian and Scottish for a hill. Recovering from a late night drunk, an uneasy, unspecified remorse. At the kitchen table she writes an essay on landscape and Gothic literature. A siskin at the window sings, the assonance of assertion. Before taking up a book, I look to the law and remember her at this view naked. Her fingers clatter on a laptop. A chaffinch repeats and repeats and repeats its repetitions. I want to abandon my face and her thighs, a forbidding, uncontrollable terrain, tumultuous, tenacious, and sublime. God, I like the accompaniment. Okay. It's called 1st of May. My last wife whose birthday was on the 1st of May, and so I thought I was blessed being an old socialist and having a beautiful wife whose birthday was on the 1st of May. I mean, God. And so it's called 1st of May, but I dedicated it to Hawthorne because I heard just about that time that he was dying basically, and he was a great old friend. So I suppose hence the May Day. 1st of May. The sky is full of flying fannies. She sits on my face. I eat an apple from her cunt. She laughs, my mouth full of cloud, her hair dark as the day before dawn. Mayday today, Mayday. But I have to say that isn't a pun on dawn. That's the problem with the dedication. I once read that poem. It is, everybody would think it's a fucking pun, and it isn't. It wasn't. So I read that once in Connecticut at a really posh gallery, art gallery, and there was a strange audience, very matronly ladies sort of sitting in the back, and one of them came up to me afterwards, and I thought I was going to get a bollocking for that, for my bawdiness, but she said, "Oh, I really like apples." So I don't So I used to like orchards too. Anyway, May. So May is also a word for hawthorn blossom. May and her black hair, a bridal charm. She blows a lace wing from her arm. Dark hairs white through blue. A black cock flew across a flowering ash. She sucks my cock by rock sank foil. A comma settles on her thigh. Wind fucks wind. Raving waters rush the clough, overhung with campion, stitched with time. So I suppose most of the poems are going to reflect the landscape that I live in and the relationship, really, and sometimes they're indistinguishable. And a wind fuck or fuck wind is 16th century word for a kestrel. It's a bird of prey. She plucks a feather from a swift in flight as I lift her slip and sink to inhale the pinks at her hip. Her buttocks are dusted with afternoon sunlight and the hillside shakes a snaking river. Not just place. Echo of a dried up clough, grey cumulus bellies on the fell, two narrow bracken tracks conflux, snatch of violets on a bank of thyme, a massed patch black cloud scats the horizon, the sun hung under, out of sight, do it easier, coming back the hard way. And this was written at the time of the last Gulf War. I live up on the fells on the English-Scottish border, and it's kind of barren, heather landscape, but very beautiful. But the military jets practice flying under radar there, so they fly up and down the valleys. Energy. The swallows on the TV aerial face west and watch the fell sides undulate like dunes in the dusk. They gather on the telephone wire, yesterday 50, today more than double that. Quick clouds skim purple off the fells. These are the facts I'm faxing down my line. Slow flying jets under a low-lying sky. They fly south over armies assembled in the dust, appear on radar screens the shape of cities, and disperse like grains of sand in the storm. Blackberries at dusk. It starts with an observation, but I also read the same observation in one of Coleridge's notebooks, and he was clearly stoned and laudanum or something, and he'd watched a hawk in a big bright sky shitting, and this big white streak of shit caught in the sunlight, and he writes how beautiful it was and how the French would really appreciate this, but the English don't. And a dunnock is a small British bird which lives in the hedgerows and very shy, but has a really sharp, piercing song. Blackberries at dusk. Brambles. Do you use the same word? Blackberries or brambles? A thermal flipped buzzard shits, sun snatched and streaked against a naked sky. Bridesmaid blossom tears a veil that spider webs and trails the pricking patch. Thorns write runes on my wrist. I stretch and twist to reach a cluster, opium black, blood bubbles that suck in light, invite plunder. Night nipples laced with foliage fall into my palm cup with touch or tug from beak of finger and thumb. The river after rain between. Wind sweeps that voice, a beach with waves of breaking sea, and some fuck dunnock flits, a storm-ripped leaf from tree to gorse, gathering in the dark, squirting out its song. Psyche is the Vikings settled in that part of the world and left their words on the landscape, so Psyche is a stream. Fast, and it's called Roth. Fast Psyche, lapdogging rock. A roe deer's ears hover overhead. A buzzard hung, swung above the thinning thicket. Ballet swank of a salmon, a sudden fuck in the stone. When I no longer see you. When I no longer see you, may those who see you well. Walking with a long view by some swelling water or declining fell. Wearing as you do now a sleeveless blouse, your girlish shoulders straight back, once dark hair thinned and silvered as the sky your bold eye scans. Someday by a confluence of buried rivers and submerged stream, not beached I hope, nor lonely, remember days adrift in cloud, the scented meadows of our flesh. While walking city streets or wooded track, when bones compound or twist your back, let those who see you well. Absolute. Sunlight after sex, first frost on the fells. A crystal apron dissolves in a lap of certain light. Water in a bedroom cup, cold, clear, and the air sure. Okay, so I worked for a while. That landscape up there is very. One of the principal features of it is of the dry stone walls, which are called dikes, and I once worked making them. I thought I would, because they're usually situated in very isolated places, and I like being in such places. And but they're also very exposed, and there are prevailing winds from the Atlantic, and they're savage, and when they blow the wind, it comes horizontally, and there's no way, whatever you wear, you can keep it out. So it was quite tough, and but I wanted to do it to see how, like spend 8 or 10 hours up there without any stimuli of any kind, just on my own, and see what came up. And the only thing I could think about mostly was, why doesn't this fucking stone fit in that gap, And it was kind of horrendous. So, but anyway, I did manage occasionally to make notes, and out of them I made this poem. So you need to know, like, a through is one of the big flat stones that you have to lay across when you reach a certain height, and then you build the next lot on it. And a cushion is a wood pigeon. I don't know, you know what a collie dog is, border collie. And a through, yeah, that's what I just told you. Did I just got my short-term memories? It's really getting worse. Strung out and hanging shore. Cotton grass on a slope below, a shivering fell, blew through blown clouds coming over, slow. September hills stroked by running sunlight, the sky crowded, stashed with rain. Dikes to rip, stones to fit. My hammer breaks open a sandstone rock, it smells of sea. A cushion flushed from a culvert settles on a hushed gutter. Scudded by black Atlantic cloud, I lie low as a hare on the law. The skyline chipped with precarious dikes. When I heft a found and lay it again, striking the line straight, a border collie arrives, followed by a shepherd who says, "Just clash it up, man." Gashied from sun slant, lug ache from wind jag, back knacked, howking founds, heaving throughs, the dike gans up. A closing hailstorm, closing fast, a stacked up sky, a hawthorne, a history of wind written in it. Otherwise it's a fiery day, and the hills are burning up, and the sun is going down and out, and blown about light, lit all up again. Wind rushes, wet and frozen. I'm through with throughs. So as I pass the bruised cloud, lip the ditch, clips the drain, rush the gutter, flood the river, Gananyem. So this poem, Labyrinth, I wrote when I was suffering from labyrinthitis, which is not being pursued by minotaurs, but an infection of the inner ear, which affects your balance. So, and I wrote it as a kind of mantra, really. I was composing it all the time. I was lying there, spinning around the room. Jackdaws, it's called Labyrinth. Jackdaws hijack dawn. A storm cock throttles song. Rain splatters lilac and flagstone. The river heaves, breathes in morning. When she says silence, I'll give her my words. And these are the words I gave her. Similar money. Okay, this is from the new book. That's where I live, in this cafe on the top of Fiends Fell, and that's it on a sunny day. Okay. Your disappointment. When you saw her bare calf, you bit, but she ignored your bite, and you bit again, and still she did not wince, and again till all you were was jaws, and they ached. Would you bite the inside of my thigh like that? She asked, from my sleek bed, reading my slim book. No, I'd kiss it, you gushed. What a pity, she said, and left. Front. The wind occurs now quite a lot in these poems, because this is so totally exposed, and I've lived there 2.5 years on my own, and sometimes my only company is the wind blowing away. So that's why it occurs so frequently, really. This is called Front. There is something so familiar in what is said, I stop and listen. A traveller's monologue of dark moaning trees, chopped waters, deserted street corners, randomly disturbed light, raised curtains, doors flung open, sudden precipitous avenues, faraway dogs brought near. It is insistent, secures my inner ear. We pick up the old conversation, neither of us understands. Prelude in Blue. A writing is a trail of evidence tailor-made for trial, or tattooed on membrane, a kind of welding, a matrimonial mirror making maps between synapses. Chopin's snarl, you rolling snake of slut. My experience of money is theoretical. Fuck me, I wept a storm. Last night at the river. Soon I'll hear another whisper and think your breath, your rippling dress drawn over swirls, your irresistible force, your silky deceptions. Wind says trees, says night, says echoes on a distant track. Rain rushed gutters and a river. So the title poem of this book, The Dark Months of May, has a quote from one of the Border Ballads, Johnny Armstrong's Last Good Night. And I have asked for grace at a graceless face, but there's none. And I found myself living, when I was kicked out by my missus, I took shelter on the over the borders in Scotland at a friend's house and called Coulter's Clough. And I found, and I lived in a caravan beside the river, Teviot. And I found that this house featured in one of the Border Ballads, Jamie Telfer of the Fair Dodd Heed. You know, the Border Ballads used vendettas, basically, marvellous stories. So the poem, that ballad, sort of bits of it occur in this poem. And I think that's about all you need to know. The Dark Months of May. May and the May quiet yet. Grey dikes slice green hills. A heron above the Teviot flies through pylons. Sky makes a slight detour. Cumulus browse the blue. Go to her, swallow. Say, I'm full of remorse. When I see cloud stacks, Hawthorne, cushiot, and a Scots pine, I see them for her. Distant hills dream skies, lying by the river, history singing. An old crabapple breathes new leaves. A striped towel dries in the wind. Her voice on the phone. Her voice on the phone, not harsh but cold. Others in the bar can hear her. Purr of a finch in flight. A pheasant croaks her name. Lacework chorus of young Scots pine auditioned by a pool. The river, sudden, all of a sudden, relentless, unassuming, insistent, subliminal, ancient, always. She occupies almost every second, this subtle Teviot sunset. Wrapped and stashed by the bin, I am her trash man, all done in. Marriage bust up, love's all trussed up, planets in alignment tonight. Memory of an echo, the last bus cuts dark to a distant track. I'm confused by her calculated cruelty and tender concern. She threw me out with her duvet, clean sheets and pillows, olive oil and honey, postage stamps, while scratching me off the list of both her 40th birthday parties. The Teviot shifts, reveals a bed of small, smooth stones. I cross to a far hill and a solitary hawthorn, an old heron's nest in its coiffured branches. Song takes up silence between silences. Skylarks, other singers, or is it the tree singing? Sheep shelter here, and broken rock when blizzards blow. Silent and still, only the midges move. What a fool to lose her. I skulk, dreading my return in this border refuge, where Jamie Telfer of the fair Dodd Heed came with a sair heart, a tear eye rowing in his ee, and was set on a black to tack the fray, gan warn the waters, braid and wide. A car on the top road passes, pushing north through the night. Do you think of me? Agitated, I spin a glass until it hits my ring. I won't take it off until you do. Mercury rising, outflanked by cloud. I would give you anything, all as a poem. I put out the light, pull up the covers, close my eyes. Hi, how are you? When I try to sleep, the river sighs, sometimes rushing half-heard words through caravan walls. Am I above or below water? When I walked last night, to see the planet in alignment with a clip of moon. A crow fell, bouncing out of branches to the ground. I tremble when I think of your body, my mouth and your cunt. The first swifts have arrived. Coda. I hate that dawn thrush, frothing bitter lullabies in hawthorn blossom. So now it gets a bit more savage, slow. This mess of blues. An embattled horizon and a silk storm of subtle rain at the window I thought was you. Packed up and portable, I'm ready to run. I heard a gun, a fuckwind shot and screeching. What carries forward is love. What a mover. Sleek hips and hanging loose. Can I come over? Although your love turned toxic, my breath stops when you hurry past to lock up the chickens, clutching a fag. Fag's a cigarette, by the way. Your recent chill. Cold Atlantic blasts make warmer company than you these last few months. Asleep in a nest of icy, inquisitorial winds, I turn to cover you and wake alone. I spit on my need when I need you. An owl swoops past on a rat raid, good summer hunting when rodents are tourist fat. You're so mad that rumour of your betrayal reached me before you had the pleasure of telling me yourself. Dawn break on her head like a rotten egg. Just to change the subject for a moment. Bob's Blues, he was a friend of mine, lifelong friend of mine, who unfortunately was in the wrong pub and the wrong time and the wrong company, and two guys came in with shotguns and he nearly lost his leg anyway. So this is for Bob when I heard that happen. Bob's Blues. I bought a round and lit a fag, had a drink and took a drag. They cut my leg off with a gun and then they run. I'm bleeding, leaving town and fine display, flashing lights that light the way. Call the boys, get them in, shoot the surgeon, plenty gin, strap me down and kiss the pain. Shit. Kiss the pain? Where the fuck did that come from? Excuse me, man. I'll just have words with myself. So, strap me down and kill the pain. Again. Come in, Dr. Freud. There must be someone up that chimney. I think I'll get back on safe ground. Okay, this is ancient stone dressed with lichen. Now the mushroom season is here, I remember. She has the basket, but I have the knife. And this is a bit of surgery. It's based on Catullus' poem called Denial is a River in Egypt. God, I'm easy. A pushover for anyone with wine, a spliff, a condom in her bag. I say no thanks, and half a bottle later we're on the nest. But we were two halves of an erotic genius till you ditched me for a regular spot on a bar stool, who's twice the man he was after 1 year of your home cooking. You have a way of turning toy boys into turkeys, and he's another, fattened for the chop. He grabs your arse in crowded bars, confusing it for one of his slack chins. He has a sudden urge to scratch. And no turkeys were injured in the making of that poem, apart from me. The real Tom Pickard. When I searched the internet for a hit, there he is, deputy head of the FBI and tip for top cop. Tom Pickard in big drug bust breaks paedophile ring, says we're stalking the terrorists. Tom Pickard takes on the mob. I hope they don't trace him to me. I'm easy to find and forget. His friends will disown him. All his enemies become mine. Okay, back to the wind. This is called rauk. Rauk's a Northumbrian word for fog, basically. And up in this little calf with this rather large parking lot, which is totally deserted. And when I first went up there, found myself like 3 o'clock in the morning, a bit drunk and stoned, and pedaling around on my bicycle in the fog. And this great short-eared owl with marvellous wingspans about this big. Suddenly it was circling above me for about 5 foot or something, 5 foot above me, and it was confused. It couldn't make its mind up whether I was something to eat or competition for what it ate. And anyway, it was an exciting rouk. Thick mist whispers, the breath of whistler envelops me in mithering silence. Suddenly an owl hung low, as though I were some prey, then swept into the rouk, to reappear, hover close, and follow me cycle the dark, deserted car park. Where to go? Where to go? Where the wind blow? I do know what I don't, is all I got, goes the wind. Whither? A peacock wind winds, begs in when it will spin, tiger tail, claw, and fang famished. Okay, so I'm going to finish with 2 poems. This is Hawthorne, which is the ballad from this libretto that Devon mentioned, as well as this. I won't read any more from that, but he was an incredible, interesting, wonderful character who died in Durham jail because he stole a horse at the age of 70 and rode it across the border to sell. But he also led a precarious love life. So this is Hawthorne. There is a hawthorn on a hill, there is a hawthorn growing. It set its roots against the wind, the worrying wind that's blowing. Its berries are red, its blossom so white, I thought that it was snowing. There is a hawthorn by a wall that looks down to the valley. Its berries are red, its thorns are sharp, it's where we said we'd marry. Its berries are red, its blossom is white, and the hail makes sharp weather. Without her now I'll make my bed in the bleeding heather. Come with me, oh come with me, my darling. The berries are red, the thorns are sharp, and the corbies are crying. Don't send me out, don't cut me down, don't exile me, my darling. Let hail lash, let snow fall, let wind rip my body. The thorns turn red, kill the blossom dead, and the cruel wind is snarling. There is a hawthorn by a wall that looks down to the valley. Its berries are red, its thorns are sharp, it's where we said we'd marry. Its berries are red, its blossom is white, and the hail makes sharp weather. Without her now I'll make my bed in the bleeding heather. I'm going to finish with this poem, which is called Hidden Agenda. Excuse me. And it was commissioned by the New Statesman, which I think is the equivalent of the, if you don't know, it's like the Nation. And it was on the occasion of the battle for the leadership of the Labour Party, which Tony Blair won, sadly. And this was my manifesto for that position. But they wouldn't, they commissioned it and they wouldn't publish it because they thought it would embarrass Tony Blair, who they featured. But then Tom Rayworth came to the rescue and he published it in a pamphlet. And then they published it later because they were embarrassed at censoring it. So this is Hidden Agenda, Manifesto for the Leadership of the Labour Party. I want to be an astronaut of fuck, to be flung into orbit around fuck. I want to be the oil in the engine of fuck, turbocharged with the rocket fuel of fuck. I want to spin on the pinnacle of fuck, to absorb fuck through my pores. I want to be swept in fuck, wrapped in fuck, swallowed in fuck, foaming in fuck, free in fuck, fast in fuck, fixed in fuck, loved in fuck. I want accommodation in fuck, security of tenure in fuck. I want to dive in fuck, swim, sink and drown in fuck. I want to be reborn in fuck and die in fuck. I want a daily delivery of fuck, an early morning milk round of fuck. I want to duck diet and dissolve in fuck. I want to dream in fuck. I want to fuck about with fuck. Float in fuck, shout in fuck, dance in fuck, sing in fuck. I want fuck to pour down on me. I want cloudbursts of fuck and heat waves of fuck. Swamps, blizzards, tornadoes and earthquakes of fuck. Volcanoes of fuck, floods of fuck. I want to be deluged in fuck, immersed and inundated in fuck. I want flash floods of fuck, waves of fuck, tides of fuck. I want tidal waves of fuck, torrents, streams and lakes of fuck. I want to turn on the tap and fill the bath with fuck. I want to be tossed in a forced gale of fuck. I want fuck falling out of trees. Fuck dispensed on the hour, every hour. I want to be glutted with buckets of global fuck, interplanetary, intergalactic and colliding galaxies of fuck. I want black holes of fuck, shoals of fuck, forests of fuck. I want cities built on fuck, fermenting fuck, farms of fuck, fields, flowering fuck. I want to be lost in the Bermuda Triangle of fuck. I want to fling open a window of opportunity and fuck it. I want to be sucked in fuck, tucked in fuck, dipped in fuck. I want to lip fuck and drip fuck. I want fuck sent to me by special delivery. I want fuck to come by first class post and fuck for the foreseeable future. I want to be baptized at the font of fuck, to get familiar with the fundamentals of fuck, to become ordained in the order of fuck. I want to travel daily on a fuck bus. To excavate the mines of fuck, to feast in the kitchens of fuck and be basted on the spit of fuck, to kneel and be knighted by the queen of fuck. Arise, Sir Thomas Fuckard, and kiss my quim. I want to live in the welfare state of the Republic of Fuck. I want fuck on the national curriculum. Thanks for coming if you did.